And another good afternoon. I'm Don Brown from LaBelle, Florida, doing another second broadcast talking about Dr. Mao's latest book on, actually, it's right here, Live Your Ultimate Life, Dr. Mao Xingni. The publisher sent me the book, a couple months ago. Been reading it, did a few book reviews, and I thought I would start just an informal little broadcast from time to time and see if anybody has any thoughts or interest in the idea of ancient, as Dr. Mao calls it, the ancient wisdom to harness success, health, and happiness. And it's based on a traditional personality theory from China that you have one of 5 personalities. And then once you know what your main personality is, you try to use the wisdom of the ages, so to speak, to create balance in your life based on that personality and try to balance your other aspects of your secondary personalities with that. And I thought I'd just go through some of the book today and see if we can drum up some interest and have some discussion. And people are welcome to join in and make comments, as well as join the broadcast if they wanted to. All right. So anyway, this is going out to everybody and be available to watch anytime on YouTube. Okay, so anyway, a little introduction. Dr. Mao Xingni, you may see him on TV or at seminars around the country. He's from Southern California, a doctor of acupuncture in Chinese medicine, best-selling author and life coach. He co-founded the Yosan University and the Tao of Wellness, which is a Center for Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine in Southern California, where he has a practice there. And he's written lots of books. He is the son of Master Ni, who is now 99 years old, and comes from a tradition of many generations of Chinese doctors and Chinese masters. I can't remember the exact number of generations, but it's like in the many dozens. You know, normally me and you normal people can say, well, we know our grandfather, maybe our great-grandfather. But Dr. Mao's family tradition went back many, many centuries, which is kind of a traditional thing back in China, where the father would pass on the traditions to his eldest son. Dr. Mao, I spoke to Dr. Mao on the phone a month or so ago. He is actually the second son. So his brother is actually the traditional person who's taught by the father all the traditional teachings. And he's also a doctor. And in any event, Dr. Mao's book, just go through the introduction here. And, well, let me just read from the back here to give you an idea of what the book is about. Now, Dr. Mao, of course, says everybody wants happiness, and that's for sure, right? So the question is, how do you come to happiness? Is this something you're granted by magic wish, or what is it? Anyway, so envision, Dr. Mao, or at least whoever wrote the back cover of the book says, envision what you desire for yourself. How good would it feel to live your life purpose enjoy, I can't even read today. Enjoy optimum health and fulfilling relationships. Wake up energized every day and go to work knowing that you feel passionate about your career. And this basically is kind of a thumbnail of what he's doing with this book. I really call it a handbook more than just a book you read once and put it away, because you can literally use it all the time. So the book is, as it says on here, it's learning from the ancient wisdom of the I Ching as you discover as you begin a journey of self-discovery, delving into your inner being and personality to uncover your life's purpose. The I Ching, or Book of Changes, is one of the oldest oracles in the world that reveals the laws of the universe to provide a blueprint for you to co-create the life that you really want to live based on the 5-element personalities. And that's the big part of this, is the traditional 5-element personalities. And he says, whether you are an authoritative wood, a passionate fire, nurturing earth, methodical metal, or wise water, you can achieve a balanced life and happiness through strengthening your physical health through elemental herbs, restoring peace within using meditation and invocations, improving relationships with harmonizing techniques, increasing your prosperity by leveraging your strengths and talents, and creating meaning in your life by finding and living your purpose. So the first thing he gets into, and I'll give you an idea of what's in here with the contents. Of course, he has an introduction, and then the part 1 is called You, and he goes through the 5 traditional elements: the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And remember, just a basic description of those. You have a wood personality if you're authoritative. You might even say the type A type personality. You know, you're kind of the boss and the leader. Fire is passionate, so you're, you know, just what the word says, you're passionate about everything. Nurturing earth, you know, think of somebody that's kind of like the helping type person, you know, nurses, people who want to help people. Metal is the methodical type person, which I am to a great extent, where you want to plan things out, you want to get all the details and get everything settled before you make a decision. And then the water is the so-called wise personality, teachers, people who like to give guidance to people. And so the idea is you first find out which of those you are. Okay. And let's just say you're fire. Okay. So you go in here and look at the chapter on the fire element, which he calls the passionate personality. And I would imagine there are quite a lot of people out there who are considered passionate. And Dr. Mao says, passion personality, you are joyful, passionate, and charismatic. Now, of course, these are all general descriptions. You know, they pretty much would fit you, but on the other hand, there might be some little details that are a little different because everybody's different, of course. And none of these personalities, none of them's better than one another. There's no perfect element, for example. You want to have a balance of them all. And then when you find your main one, you want to try to get balance within that one. All right, so say you're a fire person, a fire element, you're passionate, joyful, charismatic. And he says, a person like you with strong fire energy is very articulate, charismatic, and excels at leadership. You have strong emotional expression and experiences, which can yield satisfying results and personal success. But he says it would be helpful to build your leadership skills and use them to help others fulfill their goals and dreams. Okay, so there's kind of a clue there. You know, if you're real passionate, you're kind of like for yourself a lot. You know, you want to get out there and be a go-getter and meet people and set the world afire, hence fire. But you want to balance that. And he slips that in there. You want to, it would be helpful to build your leadership skills, which you would have, and use them to help others fulfill their goals and desires. So not only do you want to use that passion to build up your own career and friendships or relationships, but you also want to help others. Okay, so he says, then your special ability to motivate others and inspire their passion is a personal asset that will allow you to joyfully connect with those around you. Okay, so he's giving you what your overall personality would be, but then he's also suggesting you need to balance that by not only helping yourself, but helping others. And that's kind of a theme throughout. helping others in whatever, using whatever skills you have. Okay, so then he goes into one of the things the fire element might have would be compassion, and he says that's the highest form of love. Compassion you can define it in many different ways. I define it as you recognize somebody's feeling, which is kind of you can start out with sympathy, for example. Sympathy is when you see somebody hurting and you know that they're hurting because you've experienced the same thing. So that's like sympathy. And then you can move on to empathy. Empathy is you not only recognize somebody's pain or distress, but you can actually feel that. So if they're hurt, physically, you almost can feel that pain physically that they have. And then the third step is the compassionate. So you not only recognize the emotion or the distress or pain, you can feel it, but then you turn it around. You do something to help that person or thing, for that matter, or animal, any living thing or even something inanimate in a sense. So the compassion is the full circle where you recognize somebody's in distress, but you turn it around and actually do something to help them if you can. Now, if you're physically there, you can obviously physically help somebody that's in distress. If you're not there, you can, kind of calm yourself down and send out thoughts of helping somehow, mental or whatever, spiritual thoughts. All right, so he says compassion is the highest form of love, which I would say is probably pretty true. And it's compassion, he says, the love that emanates from your heart is the vehicle by which you express your fire energy in its highest form. So if you're a passionate person, that's cool. Then you need to turn that into that compassionate to he says, help the world continue to evolve and grow, and gives hope for a better future on earth. And then he says, quite correctly, to experience peace and serenity within yourself, you must channel your fire energy into expressions of kindness, compassion, and generosity. So it's all fine and good to be passionate and move forward on your own, but to have that complete happiness, or the highest form of love, is to channel that into expressions of kindness, compassion, and generosity towards others. Okay. All right. And then he goes into some more descriptions about the fire personality. We're just taking one personality at a time here, just for the heck of it. And so then he goes into the fire people. He says, have an eye for detail. So of all the 5 elements, they are the quickest studies. They can be artistic, creative, and have an eye for detail. You're driven, ambitious, and persistent. So all good qualities. But on the other hand, you have a tendency to become frustrated when you are thwarted in any way. So again, there's the balance. If you're all on fire to get something to do and you're persistent, ambitious, and driven, well, that can get a little out of whack. So you need to take the balance of that so that you do not become frustrated. And he suggests cultivating patience and break down your goals into small steps, and be your own best cheerleader, keep yourself on track. So again, pointing out the balance involved in the fire personality. Okay, so then he goes on similarly, different little things about your personality. This one here is, I've noticed it's kind of a tip off to a fire personality, is you are easily stimulated and excitable. So do you know people or yourself that just get excited about the littlest thing, or stimulated by or anything? Okay, so when that gets out of balance, it's maybe because he says, because you're overstimulated, excited, and you've lost attention to details. So in one quirk of that personality, or that you have to watch out for, is it can drive you to search for other means of stimulation. So if you're on fire for everything and you want to get things going and get them done fast, and it could potentially causing you to become addicted or dependent in unhealthy ways. Okay, so pointing out again the balance, because you need acknowledgement and validation, you can easily also slip into codependency. So you got a codependent relationship because you always want to become validated and acknowledged for the good things you're doing. So you kind of rely on some other person to feed that to you. So that's a danger you want to look out for. So he says you need to learn how to become vulnerable without giving up your emotional independence. Okay, so to me that idea there is how you can kind of figure out if somebody is a fire personality. Okay, so then he actually goes through and tells about how to find your natural happiness. In this case on fire, you need to learn to be objective and analytical to make wise decisions, because fire personality, of course, often is not going to be thinking. They're just going to do it. You know, oh, it'd be a good day to go out to jump in the lake, or, you know, go out and buy a new house, a new boat, new car, whatever. So you have to learn to become objective and analytical to make the wise decisions, and that an unguided passion is potentially destructive. So it can not only be overwhelming to others, but damaging to yourself. So you want to control your heavy demands and pressures, he says, and find your natural happiness, your own healthy fun, laughter, and joy. Okay. And then he goes through on each of the elements. You have a particular color that's traditionally associated with your fire element. Well, guess what color fire would be? Well, it's red. Okay. So red is the most auspicious of all colors. Of course, you have red valentines, right? And red hearts, so forth. Okay. All right. And then he goes through more and more observations and what do you call it, guidance for the fire personality. And so you got a whole chapter on that. All right. So okay, and then he goes through that likewise with all the 5 different personalities. All right. So anyway, this is just an introduction to Live Your Ultimate Life with Dr. Mao Xingyi from Southern California, doctor of Chinese medicine, acupuncture. And he also gives you some meditation ideas, as well as acupressure points that are traditional for the different personalities. And the different personalities traditionally in Chinese medicine are associated with different organs of the body. So he makes reference, you know, you might be your liver or your heart. Different organs are associated with the different personalities. And that's where traditionally you would have medical problems. So if you're like a fire person, you might typically have circulatory problems, heart problems, blood pressure problems, so forth. So he gives you meditations specifically for that, and acupressure points to use, and as well as advice on herbs that specifically will help keep your particular body healthy for your particular element, your own elemental personality. All right, so we'll call this to a close, and feel free to watch this whenever you want and make comments, email me, and from time to time I'll add to this. And if anybody wants to join a little book club or on the air conversation or have questions you want to answer, just email me and I'll see what I can dig up as an answer from Dr. Mao's advice. All right, so I am Don Brown from La Belle, Florida, and we will see you next time.